But we're going to move on to the other side of the world here. We're going to talk about Germany memes. Jenna brought this story to my attention, so I'm going to play the clip and then I'll let Jenna take the lead on talking about it.
It's six.
Jenna, what's up with the memes? What's going on?
I mean, it's kind of wild. Germany is, and I saw another interview too. They don't have free speech, and I don't really know if they ever did. And I'm going to relate it to something because I'm hearing there's certain left mainstream media that are talking and saying that because of free speech, because America is so doubling down on free speech, and we have podcasts and we have all the social media accounts, and people can literally post almost anything, that's why we would be potentially recreating history, because in Germany in the 1920s they had all free speech. That's why the Holocaust happened, which is incorrect. Germany did not have free speech. It was actually the opposite. They were forced to believe. Yeah. So, but a lot of left people
agree with you, Jenna.
they're saying, no, this is what's happening now. And so that's also why I thought this story was interesting, and not just to always bring it back to Jewish people, but just the fact of any type of genocide. And I'm just, it's annoying to always hear the comparison to Hitler and Trump. It's just like old, like just say something else. But they're saying similarly to like in the UK, how people are getting arrested for social media posts. And to me, it's wild. I mean, I can't even imagine. And also, like, imagine all the trolls we get in our chats or in our inboxes or on our lives. Like, people say some pretty hateful things. It wouldn't fly in America. And I hope and I wish people that are American citizens realize like how good they have it. When they look at what other countries are like, I don't think people really realize like how good you have it. Like the fact that you're even able to protest our country and our government and to burn the flag and you're allowed to do these things, they're legal, should say a lot about the freedom that you have in this country.
Also, the level of disrespect for Christianity in this country, the things that people get away with. I don't mean to bring that up, but people talk down on Christ, down on Jesus. And in other countries, you can't do that to Allah. You can't even do that here in America. People will go crazy. And I'm not saying that that's right. But to Jenna's point, I have to agree with her that is a poor comparison if the left wing people are doing that. It was actually the opposite in Nazi Germany. You weren't allowed to speak out. There was propaganda being pushed out, which is why I could not vote for Kamala Harris, but we're going to get to Trump later because I got some things for him. But sure. I could not vote for her because they were controlling what was coming out regarding, like the vaccines and the election and things like that. Gray, I'll let you respond first since you went last time. What's your thoughts on the censorship and where do you see the future of America going?
I think with social media, and anybody can say anything, and like I feel like a lot of people feel the keyboard word warriors where they'll say anything behind no profile picture and stuff like that. I think you should be allowed to say some stuff, but you can't go too far. I don't know if anybody plays video games over here, but at one time those guys were swatting each other, getting their IP addresses and sending the SWAT team to them. So we have to have some type of like enforcement of what can be allowed online, because we have some people in this world that are more online than they are even in real life, and we got laws in real life.
Facts. Mia, what can we do to prevent it? You research a lot of stuff. What's your thoughts?
I mean, I will say that we're fortunate here that we have the Supreme Court and we have a very strong constitution, and we have a Supreme Court that are mostly filled with constitutionalists and conservatives who very heavily believe in the freedom of speech and the First Amendment. Obviously, the freedom of speech does not negate the freedom from consequences, depending on what you say, making sort of threats of harming others, that becomes harassment and whatnot. But I mean, there's almost no way to protect us without stepping into the censorship part. So it's like, if we're going to be free speech, we just have to allow it to happen.
Everything.
And the way that we are right now. it appears that the legacy media is soft launching censorship, and they're trying to say it's for your good, your own good. We're tempering down this because it's misinformation and it's for your own good, which is exactly what they did in Nazi Germany, which is extreme, which is crazy to me because that's what Germany's doing right now. So they will send their police officers, their resources, to chase keyboard warriors in their mother's basement, figuratively speaking. I don't think they have basements over there, but they won't stop sexual assault from happening because they've had a massive spike in violence against women over there because of the kind of immigrants they're allowing over there and the clash of Western and Muslim culture. So like that doesn't compute to me. So you're going to arrest somebody for some lame person for typing, but you're not going to go into certain neighborhoods and you're not going to prosecute assaulters who are assaulting your women and their own women. That doesn't make sense to me. And that's why I loved JD Vance's his talk that he gave him. And I'm glad we're moving to America first, because if that's how Germany does business, I don't want any part of it. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, and Mia's right though. Like y'all, the immigration is so bad in Europe. And did y'all see the shooting that happened in Sweden? It's really bad in Sweden. And let me tell you, they are disenfranchising their own people. And I don't mean to use that as a nationalist term, but they are. They can't find jobs. They're giving away their resources because they have the floodgates open. It's bad over in Europe. So these people in Germany, they're calling it out. They don't like the way it's going, and they're trying to censor it because they want to. I hate to use this term, but it is kind of like the great replacement. I pretty much they are opening the gates, and I don't blame them for feeling some type of way. Like I don't blame them. I'm sorry, and they should be allowed to speak out against it,
Well,
whether we like it or not.
I watched other parts of that same EU meeting that JD Vance took part in, and there's some other information I fell into, and there was this one woman saying London, imagine London's like there's like 8 million people in London. 54% of London is now immigrants, non-natives to that country. You go to Dublin, I mean Paris, all of these national major cities are now literally their own homeland is less, their own natural individuals are less than the immigrants, which puts them at like they're going to be a little bit behind because they're going to start electing themselves to higher offices, and they're going to be the minority. And that's kind of what we're trying to avoid here, because I'm sorry, it's how Western society works clashes very heavily with the Muslim mindset and their religion. You can barely live together, and one's always trying to take over the other. So it's going to be interesting to see in the next 5 or 6 years, because we're going to start to see a lot of these governments being shaken up, and we're going to see a lot of these immigrants being elected to higher office. So it's going to be very interesting to see.
Jenna, any final thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, I agree with that this notion about a lot of countries are being almost infiltrated, taken over. And I think the amazing thing about the world is you go to America and you get the American culture. You go to China and you get the Chinese culture, and each country having the majority of those people from that land, from that culture still there and not being, it's like, if you mix all the colors of the rainbow together, you just get brown. I'm for I'm not saying, you can't live somewhere else, but it's like the mass numbers, and we're seeing the same exact thing kind of mirroring in the UK with the whole entire UK grooming gangs and a lot of other things that they cover up there as well, how they just didn't want it to turn into Muslim hate. However, so you're just going to allow them to do whatever they want, or those certain Muslims to do whatever they want because you're afraid of the hate that they're going to get? No, they need to be reprimanded. Vice versa for any culture, any group, any religion. Like if someone's doing something bad, call it out, and we don't need to, as a people, now put it all together and make it, oh, this whole group is that way. That's the thing that we should just all get smarter about doing. Like there could be a bad apple, and it doesn't mean that everyone in that culture or religion is a bad apple. But I really think you're seeing, like, especially in London, I mean, the mayor of many cities in London are Muslim. You're actually losing, like, what is the West? What is Britain? And I don't know if you guys have read any of Douglas Murray's work, but The War on the West or Taking of the West, it's very interesting, and it speaks a lot to what could potentially happen. And there is a wanting to destroy the West movement that does exist. And I know that could be like a little bit of a radical comment, but I think that we shouldn't try to all just live everywhere. I'm for like the different cultures.
I saw today a girl posted on TikTok. She posted a lot of stuff, but on one of the posts she put, I don't want my people to be the minority in our country. And like you notice at the Great Replacement theory, the issue of what's happening is that the white population decreased in the census. And because America is all about making money and capitalism, white families don't want to have more than 2 children, where you have minority, foreign families, Hispanic families, where they have 5, 6, 7 kids. They don't care about money. They're not using contraceptive, and they're just having children after children after children. That's why you see the Hispanic population growing so much in this country. Even though black people have been in this country for so long, we're still only 50% of the population.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think this goes into I'm curious, the birthright conversation, because I don't necessarily have facts on it. I mean, I do, and I don't. I think the whole thing about it is it's actually, how do we interpret the 14th Amendment? That's what it seems to be, that there's a line that's misinterpreted. And that's like actually what the discussion is between lawyers right now and politicians. It's like, how do you interpret this line? For that example, if anyone can come into America and have a child and now say that, oh, because I'm here and I gave birth on this soil, they are a citizen, therefore then I am a citizen. It's interesting because the line is, I have it written down because I subject to the jurisdiction thereof, meaning if you are born here, you are now then, you have to be subjected to the jurisdiction of America. So your parents, because obviously a baby can't say that I know I'm going to be subject to the jurisdiction of America and all the policies that we have to do and things that we have to follow. So your parents can't be foreignly attached to any other policy at all. So meaning they have to, like, if there was a draft, they have to get drafted. If they need to serve on our jury system, in things like this, things that we all have to do as actual citizens here. So I know we didn't really go and bleed into this next topic, but it kind of does. We're kind of talking about this because how do you actually, get qualified? And others, and we're almost one of the only countries that have this birthright citizenship. If you come here on vacation and you by chance happen to give birth here, your child is not an American citizen. You're still foreignly tied to the country you came from. It's an interesting discussion because I think there's as I'm reading all these things currently, what people are talking about right now, but people have been discussing this for years. And there's certain cases like the slaughter trial, that was a case. Also the birthright or the 14th Amendment was made specifically for slaves because they were obviously in America and they were to give them citizenship, that they are American citizens. So it's an interesting conversation because people have interpreted it as, if anyone's born here, you're a citizen. So then people will do like anchor babies, as they call it. They come here just to give birth. And now because their child is a citizen, they can stay. So I do think there's an element that it's been abused. I'm not for let it get taken away fully. No, I think if you, again, follow certain rules and you're a citizen, then you also apply yourself to all of the requirements that every American citizen needs to, then it makes sense to me. But I could see how it's gotten abused.
Right.
Well, my counter to that is this. I'm going to give you the unpopular take among conservatives. Slavery was a stain on this country. And sorry about it. It happened. It's in the Constitution. Birthright citizen exists. because of it. And I'm going to tell you this, there's a lot of countries around the world that does have birthright citizenship unconditionally. I can name them out: Angola, Antigua, Argentina, Barbados, Belize, Bolivia, Brazil, Canada. I mean, the list is endless. It does happen around the world. And unfortunately, it's written in there because of the stain of slavery. Y'all didn't want slavery. Y'all shouldn't have had it. It was here. And that's one of the only lasting benefits from slavery is that birthright citizenship. And I'm going to say this. I benefit from birthright citizenship. So I would be going against my own interests if I told you I didn't. However, my issue with birthright citizenship is this. When people are here illegally, if the first thing you do is set into this country and you are illegal when you come, you are a criminal at that point, and that would be the only reason why I would be against it, because you're not here legally. You're not here. You're not at that point. That would be my biggest issue. But the reality is, a lot of these anchor babies, so to say, there's not really as many as you think. I feel like that's just a talking point by the right. Again, another performative thing, which I'm going to get into tonight. And I'll be honest with you, it's not going to make a big difference, as people are going to say, and they are citizens. So my question is this: moving forward, is there going to be everybody moving forward that wouldn't count? What are you going to do with all the other kids that have been here? I mean, I feel like it's a performative thing. They're not going to be able to deport all these people. That's which we'll get into tonight. But that's my first reaction to it. Gray, what's your thoughts?
The fact that people benefiting off of black people and they don't like black people and coming here and getting citizenship is funny and crazy to me. Y'all taught me something. I did know that the 14th Amendment was based on slaves, but it just shows, how much the African American population and their journey in this country has affected the Constitution and affects stuff still to this day from slavery.
Oh, Mia.
Oh, sorry. I didn't want to encroach. I mean, all of us on this panel benefit from birthright citizenship for the simple fact that our parents were able to obtain their citizenship through birth. At least mine were. My great grandparents. I mean, both sides of my family have been in this country over 200 years. So like I directly benefit from birthright citizenship. However, I feel like there should be a caveat added to that the only time it should be allowed if, let's say, somebody came here on vacation and they happen to give birth, right, anchor baby situation or whatever. The only reason that child, the parents have to qualify to be here. When I mean qualify, I mean they have to be able to pass the necessary background checks. They have to be able, they're not a felon, they're not this, they're not that, and they're not the third, which is what is required when you want to immigrate here. So as long as the families are able to pass the basics in order to obtain their own citizenship, if they were to do that on their own, then I feel like it would be okay, because they would be able to come here on their own anyways through their own merit in order to do it. I mean, that I guess could be the only caveat, which might exclude some anchor babies because their parents could be felons in their own home countries. But I mean, it's kind of one of those things where I kind of agree with Nora. It is a little bit performative. I don't know if we have 5 million anchor babies running around. We might. I'm not of the Hispanic community, so I honestly have no idea.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I think I'm curious how you feel you directly are affected by birthright citizenship if you said your family's been American citizens for 200 years.
So just the simple fact that I'm born here and
but your parents were citizens, right?
Right.
And your grandparents were citizens, and then your great grandparents were citizens. So you're not directly affected by birthright citizenship. That's your family's citizen. So that's different than if someone comes here undocumented and has a child, and now they're saying they're all citizens because they had a child here. That would be more directly, to me, or actually no, by law, that would be more a directly affected connection to birthright citizenship than if your whole family's been here for 200 years.
Well, I mean, I look at it as I was born here, so that it automatically makes me a citizen regardless of my parents. And I mean, they want to pass the SAVE Act, which requires me to show proof of my birth being here, not proof of my parents, but proof of my birth being here. So I feel like the act of me being born here is my 14th Amendment. That is what strengthens me. That's how I feel directly tied to that.
I think I hear what you're saying. And I think by that logic, it would be a tricky argument then to say that if someone were to go on vacation, have a child in another country, aren't they now a citizen of that other country then, by your definition?
That's not what she said. She said you would have had to legally be here, though. That's not what Mia said. Mia said you would have had to be legally be here, not on vacation.
No, the phrase she said was, I go based off of it because I was born in this country. She said not based off her parents, which is actually what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So just I'm saying based off of the, I mean, it's free. You're fine to change what you said. I'm just going based off that logic of if it's just based off, no, because I was born here. I think that's actually where the confusion is, because a child can't determine whether they are going to be following the jurisdiction of a certain country if they're just a baby. We don't have the consciousness to choose that. So, and I'm saying that's based off of our Constitution and our amendments. I don't know the countries that you listed, Nora, what their constitutions are. I don't actually know the full rules, and I'm going to look into them because I would like to know actually what it says. And I think it's, sure, it could be a talking point. I feel like that's almost a talking point, calling it a talking point, because to me, I'm trying to learn.
It's 16 million in 30 years. It's a drop in the bucket. Not only just that, when they're deporting, I don't know if y'all understand how it works. When they're deporting these people, they're not deporting the kids with them, but the kids have nowhere to go. They're gonna go with the parents. I'm gonna promise you that. They're gonna have nowhere to. They're gonna be able to stay here. Their family's getting deported. I've had friends where their parents have gotten deported and the kids have to go. So either way, the kids are gonna go. I mean, if y'all are concerned about the kids getting to stay here, they're going to stay. They're going to go. They're not going to have anywhere to reason or how to stay here when their parents get deported.
I wanted to add something since you guys are all Republicans. Did you guys know that secretly big business is actually trying to keep Trump from going through with his immigration plan because they want the cheap labor? Were y'all aware of that? You knew this?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wait, can you say that one more time?
You lost me too. Say it again.
So basically, can you guys hear me?
Yeah. I just it didn't register.
Basically, big business, like billionaire companies, are going behind Trump's back, and they're trying to keep immigrants here and keep the immigration flowing because they want that workforce.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it the whole H-1B visa argument? Is that what you're referring to?
Well, it's not just them, but just like big businesses that employ immigrants in general are doing this. And so I was wondering, because you guys are saying it's a talking point, the people that should be loyal to Trump are actually trying to backstab him and continue the immigration flow. So billionaires are doing this. So how do you guys feel about that?
I think I want to just correct something that maybe got unclear. I don't think it's just a talking point. I want to talk about everything. I don't even like that phrase anymore. Because to me, I just care about all of these things. So if I'm going to talk about something that has potentially a very small effect, I don't really care. I think all of it matters. So to me, why is it a problem if I'm talking about something, if it's the numbers aren't as large as something else? I just want to understand and deeply know the Constitution and American policies, and then hopefully I can learn that about foreign policies. This is, I think, an issue is with anyone. I heard this big debate on Piers Morgan yesterday, similar to what you just mentioned, about all the grifters, right? I mean, Mark Zuckerberg was fully for Biden, was fully censoring everyone. And even Elon Musk years ago had to actually censor X. So people are, switching sides left and right. You got to be wary because when God willing, at midterms, we still stay Republican, but who knows? I mean, they're trying everything in their power to not. I know a lot of people are going to flip back. They're just doing this right now because it's in their better interest. And I think we should be careful about that.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
and I'm not saying I'm switching sides back. What I'm telling you is that some of this stuff is performative. That's where we got to get to. We got to come. If we're really truly conservatives, Jenna, you got a good point, and we're gonna get to that because a lot of these people they are performative. Elon Musk is performative. He is a conservative. Okay, he's not really a conservative. That came out this week. He keeps impregnating all these women around the world, and he says he's for conservative values, but he's an atheist. He's a liberal atheist. He's hiding in sheep's clothing, and I am appreciative with him cleaning up the things, but the biggest thing I'm trying to get to, Jenna, and we're going to get there, is we don't have the money to even get the criminals out. It's not realistic. We need to give a pathway to citizenship to the children here because they are Americans to some extent. They went to school here, they were raised here, versus us kicking them out to then import people in. That's my whole thing. And that's my issue with these big billionaires. They are shipped, like Gray, you brought it up. They're shipping these people in by the droves, and we're kicking out what? These kids grew up here. They're Americans. Would you rather import the Indian? And I'm not trying to be racist, but the Indians here who don't share our American values, or would you rather try to give pathway citizenship to the kids born here? That's where we need to come to and collectively say, nah, I would rather the latter than you keep shipping these people in and you change the fabric of our country even further.
Can I say something before you go to the next clip? I like
Go ahead.
about MAGA switching side and stuff. What I think is that Trump moved so fast with signing executive orders. I think the vast majority, or a good percentage, and I'm not saying this about you, Nora, only cared about LGBTQ plus stuff, and that's all they wanted. And then once that was done, it's like, oh no, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this. That's what I think is going on. But go ahead.
It's a valid point. I'll just say it's a valid point. Not for me, but I'm not, and I'm not even saying for Nora, but I don't feel that way at all. I said this on my channel the last several lives. Like, yeah, I'm super conservative, but I'm less saying like I'm in a party at all. I just want to know the truth.
Yes.
But all of my beliefs are conservative, but I just don't even like. I know.
To be clear, I think you are a true conservative, but some of these people right now are not.
No, for sure.
That's
And
my issue.
That's what I'm seeing too. I see it too. And that's why just in general, we need to be like, I'm just wary of who I talk to, like in general, like just and who I listen to in general, because there's vultures out there and they're looking to eat on the weak and the vulnerable. And because I have such a good heart, I tend to get eaten on. So bye everyone. Leave me alone.
I don't want you to get eaten. We're gonna pray for that, Jenna.
Just to lightly touch on what Gray was saying, I know a lot of Trump, in my opinion, and take it for a grain of salt, got elected by a secret minority of people who will die before they ever admit they voted for him. And these are the same people who are at your dinner table gleefully reading the executive orders on the sly and happy. Yes. They'll never admit it. They're in your lives. They're talking their crap. They will never admit it. The only way he got elected was if half of the people that are left moved into the middle of the aisle. So all of it is performative online. I feel like so many people, millions of people will never say they voted for him. They'll never say he's doing a good job. But when they go to sleep at night, they're reading those articles and they got a little smirk on their face because they know they voted for him. And I feel bad for the Democrats because at the end of the day, you guys can't trust each other. Because 3 out of 10 people at your kitchen table, at least 3 to 4, maybe even 5 people in your crew all lied to your face on God. They all lied to your face. They were throwing up Harris. No, they voted for Trump. That's the only way that he won, not only the Electoral College, but the popular vote, which goes to tell that so many people on the left are actually lying and are disingenuous, but they're just trying not to get the smoke. And I don't blame them. It's extremely difficult to be like a person of color, a minority, anything, and agree with anything MAGA or anything conservative. I can understand why they don't want to like leave the closet on their pick.
Gray's one of them, by the way. He's not going to tell
I
you that though.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I can absolutely I can understand why they don't want to, but the simple fact of the matter is the first people they're like, he's terrible, I know are the ones that voted for him, and they'll never admit it. And they are going to bed with a smirk on their face, happy about all of the executive orders that's happening. They'll just never admit it.
Very true.
It's the silent minority that elected him.
Oh yeah, I've several of them DM me. So, I mean, I was fully
Really?
ostracized. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Mia knows this, but I was a performer in New York City for 11 years. So, which is the most. I'm not saying all artists are liberals, but like arguably majority of them are, and especially in New York City. So, yeah, when I started making content, I got fully attacked. But I would have a couple people DM me like, "Oh my God, you're so brave! Like I voted for him, and this is why I can't speak out because of what's happening to you." And I'm like, "All right, well at least you silently voted for him, I guess. I don't know."
Oh man. Whew. All right, guys. I'm gonna not play any more of the immigration clips. We're gonna switch gears